Hello, Mech fans. This is Duncan Fisher. Hold on firmly to your mana potions, fireballs, and familiars, because you are tuning in to your regularly scheduled episode of the First Circuit Podcast.
All right, hello and welcome everyone to the First Circuit Podcast, episode 152. We have a whole host of topics for MWO, so lots of things going on. We've got MWO's future interview with Darren talking about big upcoming changes. We have a preview for this month's patch, a huge amount of mech quirks and stuff. We have the new Hunter Pack to look through, the free mech to look at, and there's even an event on top of that. We also, lastly, have to mention, I think, the game spin-off, what is it, Mech Assault spin-off title, Wolves. He's posted a video showcasing off the Puma. So, and of course, we have our usual three hosts: me, Biter. We also have Ian.
Hello.
And Old Bob.
Hello.
Old Tired Bob.
Tired Bob.
Right, let's get cracking right away with the No Guts, No Galaxy podcast interview thing with Darren.
It was about an hour long, right?
Yes. And I haven't actually listened through to it all, but I imagine there probably will be talk about beards, or maybe they cut out the beard talk.
True.
But
True.
yeah. It's a lot of news and also somewhat not necessarily a not pegged out. This is just giving us an idea of where they're going, because at least for we've been doing a whole bunch of patches with the Cauldron for a while, and it's like, all right, that's good enough. There's a they're slowly working on the game, putting in simple numerical changes, but are we actually going to do anything more than that? Are we going to do anything more than just releasing a mech pack every couple of months and slowly tweaking the game until PGI get bored of it? Well, at least according to this interview, that in a month or so away, that PGI has a huge announcements for both Mechwarrior 5 and Mechwarrior Online. And at least as on the part of the MWO's side, I think part of that is because they're hiring an external team to do a whole bunch of extra work on the game.
Do you think they're gonna what do you think they're do for MechWarrior 5 though? Did they actually say anything about that? Besides just like hinting?
It's gonna be the DLC announcement, of course. DLC number 2.
Okay, probably clans then, do you think? That'd be
No,
the best thing they can do. That'd be the best thing that they can do.
We talked about this.
I know.
About this. Clans are out of the question for a DLC for Mechwarrior 5.
That's the best thing they can do for that game. Anyways, yeah, okay, go on.
No, I don't think more factions and more mechs would fix the game. They need to do other things first.
Well, yeah. Well, okay, one more DLC of fixing the stuff, and then clans, basically getting through that. I mean, the game is decent by itself, kind of decent. It's just lacking basically, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's this.
That's the guy who was giving a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a 6 out of 10. Okay. It's an okay game. It's really?
Lacking. 6 out of 10 is okay for you?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's just lacking.
Anything under 7 is unacceptable.
No, actually, like I rated a Free Guy 7 for the movie Free Guy. It was actually not too bad, but it was lacking some things too. So 7 out of 10. But 6 out of 10, it's just lacking something. It needs something. I don't know what it is, but it just needs something there. Anyways, go on.
Yeah, I'm really not sure what they're going to do for Mechwarrior 5 other than just announce a new DLC. This DLC was supposed to be released about the same time as they actually released it on all platforms. So this implies they've been working on it for some time. And if they've been working on it for so long, they're either kind of inefficient, which isn't too surprising, or of course it could be a big, huge change or big something else to the game. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. You could just have a simple DLC where you're adding even more tech and mechs to the game, or the most obvious next avenue would probably be something like clans or something, would be my guess. But that's just a very offhanded kind of guess.
Yeah, if it's not clans, it's gonna be new tech, some more mechs, maybe the Bush Wars, or maybe the War 3039 or something, and then they'll go to clans hopefully or something. Who knows?
Yeah, that's much more likely. So
Yeah.
they said multiple times clans are not going to happen within Mechwarrior 5.
Yeah.
But I could see them doing a story DLC, potentially adding a couple more mini campaigns to
Okay,
get
yeah.
one of the wars. I mean, their timeline is currently advancing from 3025 up to 3050s ish for the most part. They have the Republic of Rescale in there. I could totally see the War for Independence with Rescale and all the
Yeah.
things that went around that time frame. Something like that would be cool.
True.
But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
personally not getting my hopes up. Having recently given infantry a proper and thorough try and disable it afterwards,
Exactly.
I'm not getting my
Um,
hopes up too high.
Now, one thing, it just sparks my mind a little bit is, Russ was mentioning on Twitter, whole and MWO sort of asking people how do people feel about like the frontline mode in World of Tanks?
Mhm.
And it just jogged my mind in terms of MechWarrior 5. Imagine if you could drop with multiple lancers.
Ooh, that'd be
Like you could
interesting.
get a group of 12 of your friends or whatever together and all drop in a big battlefield. Now that would be a huge expansion of scope without having to just jump to the
Hmm.
clans.
Or a
I don't-
DLC. Oh, go
I,
on.
I don't see them doing more than 4 people in co-op modus. But like big
Yeah.
battlefield missions, I totally see them doing a mission type like that. As I said with the one of their hero mech missions, the final one with the king crab, where you had this open battlefield with battalion versus battalion nearly. That was really good. That was a
Yeah.
really good mission, and I'd love to see more of those. And making use of repair base. In my current campaign, I'm using a mod that enables repair base and random missions, and it does add a lot to the gameplay.
Okay.
Especially when you have multi-mission contracts, you can make tactical use of those repair base to get one of your mechs back up and running for the next mission, so on and so forth. So yeah, some kind of repair and refit mid-mission, I could see that.
Okay.
If I was really going to try and stretch the game to be a more interesting one, it would be something akin to like incorporating more elements of like a mech commander or something, in the sense that you're in a big giant battlefield and you can command your allied mechs to go and take out objectives and things. And so you're
Yeah,
only in command of one
better
lance.
AI control. That
Mhm.
would be a DLC worth buying.
Player versus
Because
player.
the
They
AI
might.
control is garbage.
Have you thought about player versus player like in MechWarrior 5? Do you think they can do that?
No,
No.
no, don't see it.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
a
yeah, they
chance.
could barely
They have
get
Mechwarrior Online.
4 people
That's it.
co-ops. So yeah.
I mean, HBS BattleTech is probably a good example for that. They had the multiplayer mode for that game was a pretty big focus of the game.
Mhm.
And while it's not that, it has died down a lot. And I just don't see any financial reason to do a player versus player multiplayer Mechwarrior 5.
Mhm.
When you can just say, here go, Mechwarrior Online is free to play. Go and
Instead of
do your
spending
PvP there.
resources for it. So yeah.
Particularly since they're putting more and more resources into Mechwarrior Online. It doesn't make any sense to increase competition with your own products.
Yeah, so back to Mechwarrior Online then. Big announcement for Mechwarrior Online next week. Or next month.
Yes.
Is the whole Brazilian team thing, is that already a big enough announcement to wear in those words? What do you guys think? Not a map?
Goku?
Not a
I
mech
think
pack?
My guess is that Russ has sort of eventually came to the decision of like, yep, we've finished negotiations with this team. We're going to get them to help us do stuff, and now he's going to spend a week or so figuring out what he's going to actually get them to do. And if they figure out something, and they really they get the plan figured out, then they'll tell us in a month time or whatever, and say, oh, we've got all this new content coming out for MWO because we've got this new development studio working on it and stuff.
I'm getting flashbacks to my professional life, like hiring external studio, not even knowing what you want to have them do, and then just throwing your issues at them. That hits so
Yes.
close to home.
True.
Yeah,
let's hope it goes better than in my experience.
Yeah.
yeah. So there were a few other things, of course, talked during the podcast that could give us an inclination about, and elsewhere that give us an inclination of where they might be going. So yeah, Russ was talking about a big game mode. Maybe that's just him, probing the internet, seeing how much interest there is. But I think, what is it? They are thinking of adding new mechs actually to the game, not just reworking existing ones.
Mm.
So new loyalty mechs and new mechs might be back on the table. Just at least there'll be more work be done on mechs in the future. Obviously, one thing they've been working towards, I think, is what is it, the localization.
Yes.
Yeah, for
Yeah, that
Russia.
was one of the things Darren talked about a while ago. I think we even talked about it on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And localization could be a really big driving force to get the older MechDad player base back in the game.
Yeah, you're never going to be totally sure of all the different languages and cultures out there that might actually like a game like MWO, but it's locked off to them if they can't understand what's being said and being explained. Everything is in English, there's not even really good wikis, but there's lots of information online, and that's all mostly in English, etc., etc.
And they have it in German, though, right?
No,
No?
Not
Oh,
no.
wow.
no, they have no localization so far.
There's a lot
That's
of German
the whole
players,
issue.
though. Yeah.
Like German was one of the languages Darren talked about. First things first. Yeah, I could
Mhm.
totally see German. German is a pretty big market for BattleTech compared to many others. Russian, interesting choice. I have not enough experience with the Russian market to say that. I don't think they're gonna do Chinese. Chinese is dominated by mobile games. They're not gonna get Mechwarrior in there. I could maybe see Spanish for the
Yeah.
South
Yeah.
American market.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, Russian, German, Spanish would be my three guesses for the first languages.
Yep. I mean, that's the kind of thing, at least localization is usually best handled by certain exterior teams who are used to just, having a whole bunch of translators
Yeah.
who can just easy peasy quickly translate all your stuff into various different languages. And maybe you're starting with, it's odd that you are starting with just Russian first, but yeah, we'll see. I'm also hoping at least to hear at some point more about accessibility options for the game.
Yes.
Just,
Like,
yeah.
and like what, though?
Better colorblind modes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's been a lot
especially
of
with the
people that, yeah.
red blue thingy. Just different colors is such a big thing for accessibility. UI rescale is also a really big part of accessibility. The way the UI currently doesn't scale, if your vision is bad, you kind of have to play at a low resolution if you want to be even remotely able to make out text. I mean, even I have pretty good eyesight with my glasses, and if I play the game at 4K, the UI is unusable. So that kind of thing.
Yeah,
There
I
are
scale it
plenty
down
of
to
things to do.
180p on a
Yeah.
giant
Yeah.
monitor.
Yeah, 1440 is acceptable, but it's not great. 1080 is kind of what you have to if you want to use the UI properly.
Yeah. You mentioned, I think, was it just player numbers are still kind of high. I think both mech packs, the first two mech packs have sold reasonably well. They've done better than older packs like the Dervish. So even though all you're doing is sort of just reskinning and whatnot, the mechs, things are looking. People are a lot more interested in this current model than they were in the past.
Though,
So we
to be
can.
fair, I think a big part is that these are kind of fresh since after we didn't have any packs for a long while. I very much think the current pack model is gonna die down faster than the old pack model.
Why is that?
Well, it's less interesting. It's just extra variants, and right now people are buying it because we haven't had mech packs for a long while, and they're like, "Oh, shiny, new! I want new
That
stuff."
makes sense. Yeah, it does make
And
sense.
also, okay, I want to support the team. I want to keep the game going. If I don't buy this, the game is probably gonna die soon. That kind of reasoning.
Yeah.
But if they
Also,
keep pumping it out at the rate they're currently, I think these packs are gonna die. Not after 4 or 5 years as the past mech packs, but way faster than that.
it's also going for the low hanging fruit. So adding ECM to 2 clan Omnimex is great, but you could only do that so many
much,
times.
Yeah.
And I mean that's sort of the feeling I have with the most recent pack is it feels almost like they've run out of low hanging fruit. And even then, that low hanging fruit, the first pack, was not that inspiring either. So it's
I
just
think so far these packs are visuals primarily more than gameplay.
the ECM is pretty nice, but yeah, the Dragon Thunderbolt are they're gimmicky mechs, and Yeah, we'll get onto the upper Mech when we
Yeah,
get onto
we'll
it.
get
Like,
there in a
Yeah.
you
minute. Sorry,
can do
sorry.
slightly more different gimmicks, but in the end, yeah, I do have the same doubts that you can keep the interest in packs really running for that long. There's a lot of value to be had in the hanging items that give you Seabill boost. It's like, oh, hey, more Seabill earning, that's nice. But once you've got like 12 of them, once you've bought enough packs, you probably don't. It's not that interesting anymore.
Well, plus for people that already have like most of the mechs too, and then they also have like 370 million C-bills. They don't really have to worry about stuff, and those 5%, they don't really care, type thing.
All right. To wrap up the sort of last few things that were mentioned, I think was it. Obviously, I think they're planning to. There was a lot of talk of turning a faction play map into a quick play map.
Yeah.
Obviously, that would take a bunch of reworking, but yep, you have the tile set. You just need to rework it around, add plenty of tunnels and bridges like they do with
Yep.
the reworks nowadays,
Yeah.
and you'll have a new map.
True.
Shorten those incredibly long corridors for the most part. Just
Add
cut out
tunnels
the
everywhere.
middle section of the map and put the ends together, and it's probably fine.
Yeah.
Just go full arcade and just add teleporters all over the place.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
That'd be fun for a
Like April Fool's one or something.
for a turning over game mode thingy.
Mm.
Like the event queue. Like teleporters for the event queue, that'd be a
Yes.
fun game mode, but
Yes.
not as an actual solution.
Okay.
All right. And otherwise, I think they're wanting to restart their own like official championship, the world championship. But there was talk or interest in trying to do another MechCon, but there's obviously difficulties with the
COVID.
coronavirus,
Yeah.
and so it's most likely going to be online, a virtual MechCon.
Yeah. Though virtual nowadays is a interesting word that can have many different meanings, so it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with. Like the virtual PDX-Con was effectively a stream with a couple Discord events, which was fine, but it's not really fun. There was a virtual furry convention recently that was full virtual reality, where you could walk around the convention
Hold on,
floor.
did you say furry convention?
It's just an example,
Yeah.
Bob. Don't get
Okay.
yourself excited.
Oh, I was
know
really
what you're
excited to go
keen.
to that one.
But yeah, something like that would be really cool. I kind of
Mhm.
miss the whole convention experience, and just getting a game like VR chat and setting up a room that you still have to buy a ticket to get into, but then being able to walk around, have voice chat, that'd be cool. I doubt we're gonna get something like this, but
But
that'd be
not a lot of
cool.
people have VR stuff or VR goggles and stuff
You
like
can
that.
use it on desktop with your keyboard and mouse.
Oh, okay, that's different then. Yeah. I don't know.
But just
Yeah.
having the option to do it
Mhm.
VR is cool. And
Yeah.
just in general, just walking around the virtual convention floor and having voice chat.
So while I'm there, can I
that'd be
put on
really
my
cool.
virtual furry suit too, or
Oh yeah,
keep
yeah,
on
yeah,
my
yeah.
my
You
furry
have
suit
to
there?
do a proper 3D scan of your furry suit, and then you have your furry avatar.
I have a cat suit that I could use, and meow, that kind of thing.
Though to bring it a bit more down to earth, I have a feeling they're not necessarily going to invest that much time and
No.
effort necessarily into the virtual con.
No. No, I highly
It
doubt
would
it.
be really cool though. And to be fair, setting up an event in VR chat or similar software is not difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
The
hell of a lot cheaper
moderation
than
is gonna be the
Yeah.
terrible experience.
yeah.
Yeah, true.
So ultimately, like any virtual con should be a hell of a lot cheaper than actually renting out a venue and
Mhm.
hiring all the staff and everything else.
Yeah, it's just you're gonna get higher numbers, but much lower actual involvement. Like again, PDXCon, my prime example from recently. The numbers were pretty good. The amount of people watching the different panels and stuff, much higher than obviously the in-person people. But at the same time, I found myself not interested in a lot of things because it was just a stream I have on my side panel, and the actual reason to go to a convention, the people were not really part of it. So
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we'll see what they do because in my head, at least, the simplest thing to do is something along the lines of you stream it on Twitch, you do some drop or something or whatever. You give some people some goodies or do an event at the same time, and the whole point is just you invest your money in a good promotional video showing off whatever new feature you'll have planned
Yep.
for the game.
Yeah, like an 8 hour.
Exactly. Stream the
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
promotional videos, have a couple of Q&As, maybe do a Discord live Q&A, those kind of things.
Yeah, that'd be good. So, and then also poking Harmony Bear. Harmony Gold. Never mind. Ah! Jeez.
Do we
Poking
want to
the
leave
bear.
that for now, or do we want to jump forward and get to that?
We'll do that in a little bit, I guess, like with the 100 pack.
All right, so just a teaser for later.
Is Stalker an unseen mech?
No.
No.
That's
No,
not.
it's only one of them.
Yeah,
It's
the other one.
Yeah. You'll see. If you're watching on YouTube, you will see. If you're not watching on YouTube, go ahead and look up the Stalker pack on Mechwarrior Online.
And we'll tell you too. We'll tell you as well. Okay.
All right.
Right then,
So
moving on.
we have shall we go to the patch preview?
Yep, let's go to patch preview.
So yeah, for the first part of the patch preview is the Hpt Rework. Again, if you're not watching on YouTube, if you're listening to this, go ahead and check the MWOmercs.com homepage to see all the pictures. They posted some preview pictures of the changed up HPG manifold map. And yeah, it's a more metally cauldron.
No. It's always metally. It's just biggest feature is just of course that you've removed that big central hill, and there's just lots of little hills and bits and pieces of cover. A lot more ramps up to the big walls at the side. I think there's a few more tunnels and stuff carved into the landscape as well. And as well, I think they've removed the little posts and things that you always kind of bumped into. So the ground is actually always kind of flat and not too heavily obstructed. This those little posts were nice if you were a flea and terrible if you were a bigger mech bumping into them. So yeah, the tricky thing though is HPG, at least with these screenshots, these are all showing a large portion of the map, and it's grey on grey. It's you could do where's the locust, where's Wally kind of thing, where it's shut down in the corner, and I couldn't really tell.
There's an awesome. I spotted it.
Yeah, we can at least with the basic green colors, we can actually spot some of the mechs.
There's a Centurion.
Yeah, can you spot?
That's
I think
a fun
commander.
mini game though.
Yeah.
Spot the mech. I mean, a lot of people were actually, a lot of people were complaining about just being a NASCAR going around the dish, and so basically that's why they did this. And plus, it's one of the maps they could go, oh hell, we'll just go and move this here and do this here, and another thing they could go add on to their list of things to do for the year. But yeah, I mean, I don't see a lot of NASCAR happening. Hopefully, I mean, you really can't per se. I guess really hard to do it. What?
We're talking about the Mechwarrior Online
Hey,
community.
I'm having hopes.
They're
I'm
not
having
gonna
hopes.
care what the map looks like.
There's still a
If they
NASCAR
can
around the whole
NASCAR,
outer
they're
edge,
gonna
right?
NASCAR, and I can totally see a path on the right and on the left where you can NASCAR.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm going around. You can go underneath the bridge. I'm looking at the first picture. Go underneath the bridge and then run. Yeah, I guess you can NASCAR.
You're not gonna have a lot of
be
power
longer.
doing it, but people are gonna do it.
It'll be
Don't kid
longer
yourself.
for them NASCAR, but they will NASCAR, I guess. I just have hopes.
Like,
if you
I mean, ultimately, HPG always sort of played the same way, and I think a lot of people actually, oddly enough, kept voting for the map because it was reliable and you knew what you were getting getting into. It's a very big question of how it plays out. I do remember times where you wouldn't always fight on the hill, but sort of that big bridge and the other stuff to the side of it. Like there would often be pushes through there. And just times where there was more people taking up positions on the ramps and punishing anyone who was moving around. And that would sort of be my guess, that if you were a brawler, you're sometimes the way they've designed it is probably you're sort of have to run up to a piece of cover and then you hide behind it, because if you push out you can get shot by a whole bunch of mechs.
Yes.
And the deciding factor will be whether your team or whether the pugs sort of learn to form enough brawlers in a blob and then charge through the best corridor and bring the fight to the enemy. Otherwise, the map is primarily going to be filled with a lot of skirmishing and engaging, and There's the basement for brawlers, but the basement always just leaves you without many options. So you're just sort of stuck hiding in the basement if it's
Yeah.
just not that valuable a tactical option.
That's my main concern with this map as well. It's quite open for the most part, and I think it's going to heavily encourage the good old PPC ghost sniping thingy and also just laser vomit skirmishing.
Yeah.
And compared to the last map, I think this one is heavily going to limit what you can play effectively on this map.
If you've got something like a clan laser vomit, large pulse lasers, clan medium lasers, you got 600 to 400 meters reach. You can just stand on most of these hills and engage most others inside the circle area.
Yeah.
And so you can impose your will over a large area. And there's plenty of ramps up to the central area, but that central sort of gangway, the central bridge, that's a lot longer now, is really open.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just so many places you can get shot from if you're up there. So I don't see, unless you're like a light mech or you're trying to make use of the central archway, there's not much use in the highest ground, and other than using it as a poking spot.
Yep. And unlike so this map screams fragmentation to me, especially in lower tiers. This screams just people are gonna split up, find a hill, and start
And
just
bunker down.
staying there.
Yeah.
And so in a map like the reworked Polar Highlands, you can make use of all the canyons and cover areas to, even as something like the Black Widow with dual LB20s or Cyclops with LB10s, you can kind of use that to go around and find those people who are fragmented off and engage them short range. On this map, you're gonna have much less luck doing that. So yeah, I'm not super excited about this map, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's ultimately just have to wait and see. It's fun. In my head, it's a question of ultimately if it does split everyone up and stuff. Is that a more fun experience in general, et cetera, et cetera? What kind of builds does that push,
Yep.
et cetera, et cetera? But yep, first things first, we'll wait until the game launches. It'll come out on Tuesday, this whole patch, and we'll get to see how it plays.
And if I can get the map this time within the first few weeks.
Yeah, I know.
So we'll put an event which requires you to play the map like 20 times, and then we'll give you a lot of really good stuff.
Oh God.
All right.
Okay. Yep.
Up next is the Mech Quirk Pass. And I am not sure how we really want to cover this because
Mech's
it
got
is a lot.
changed. Okay, so next after that.
Let's maybe give the quick, like the super high level overview and like the one or two mechs that kind of stand out to us. So on a high level, they changed some mechs, not all of them, mostly light mechs and a couple of the less utilized mediums and heavies. I think the selection of which mechs they changed isn't bad. They didn't take any of the meta mechs and reworked the quirks. They mostly focused on mechs that are less utilized, like the Locust Spider, Incubus,
Kodiak.
Arctic Cheetah, Mistlings. And yeah, they mostly got rid of all the individualized quirks and replaced them with more powerful flat quirks. What do you think, Bida? Good enough summary?
Yeah, that's a fairly good summary because if it's something like, oh, this mech has the spider hero has 15% energy cooldown and 20% missile, and they just say no, just make it 20% universal. And so that's a slight buff, but it's also just a lot less clutter on the screen, at least when you're trying to look at the quirks of the mech.
Yep.
Yeah.
Standout
There,
wise, I think. Oh, Bida, go ahead.
yeah. So there's a few trends, which is usually sort of like trying to buff up the survival of mechs to cover up their weak spots usually. So like if you have a javelin, they only had torso survival. So let's just give them limb and leg survival, make them actually tanky. Mislinks had no CT survival, and if you pick certain hardpoints, you would miss out entirely on bonus survival on your side torso or arms. And they say, well, yeah, let's at least give you some on those hard points, and let's give you lots on the CT. So, yeah, on the survival side of things, at least defense, a lot of these mechs are getting little improvements. and particularly to areas where they often get shot at. So adder, center torso, no survival there whatsoever. Okay. So now your adder can actually take some hits to the CT. It won't just die so quickly to all the laser vomit out there. Weaponry quirks, they feel, just offensively, your ability to deal damage, as you said, it's going towards more universal quirks. There's a few cases where we're giving strong flavor quirks, or something like that. There's a couple of centurions and things out there, but for the most part, these are all very generic quirks. It feels almost like an old PTI patch back in the day. It's just like, oh, okay, don't worry, we'll give this thing 10% cooldown. Now it's worth playing.
So yeah, on the more specific things, machine gun rate of fire is the only really flavor quirk I can see on a quick glance.
There's a Centurion with a whole bunch of LBX quirks that stack on top of Ballistic, so you can have like 40% cooldown
Oh yeah, I
base.
see it. And USC jam
Um,
chance.
yeah, there's UAC jam chances, but those are often like 20% or so, which I almost never use the UAC jam chance mech with 20%. And the thing as well is they often give like cooldown alongside UAC jam chance quirks. And the funny thing, at least like this is just how I think about it, but like when you increase the cooldown quirks on a mech, the edge that a UAC has over a regular autocannon becomes slimmer. So if you give cooldown and jam chance, the UAC is better in both respects, but the autocannon is also just better without jamming. And so I'm often just pushed towards the autocannon. But yeah, 20% is, not very much. All the light mechs, the thing that people have been commenting on, is of course the overheat damage quirks. So like the Locust, all of them have minus 50% overheat damage. This is a long overdue change, and is in some ways should have just been hard coded into the game, so to speak, in the sense that whenever you push over 100%, you have you have like 15 damage applied randomly to you, a component inside your mech.
Mm-hmm.
Usually more the torsos than the limbs. And if you're an Atlas, it doesn't matter if you take 15 damage or so to a component. If you're a Locust, though, and you take 15 damage to your side torso, and you're running XL, that's probably a dead Locust. So minus 50% overheat damage means that when you go over 100%, instead of taking 15 damage to that side torso, you're taking like 7.5. It's still going to roll for a crit and everything, but you'll come out of it alive, even though you rolled unluckily and got the side torso. You have to roll like twice on the exact same side torso to die from overheating, which means the Locust doesn't just instantly explode whenever you push the heat a little bit too far. And they've done that for a fair number of the lights and a couple of the mediums as well.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't get the fancy idea to give that one to Assault Mechs. That'd be a disaster. But yeah, what they did give to the heavier mechs, and what really stood out to me, all the defensive quirks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like as in like negative critical damage.
So I mean, some like the Victor don't get them, but big example would just be the Atlas and Kodiak. Those ones. I think also Highlander, but Supernova as well. But yeah, Atlas and Kodiak are the ones I'm most interested in because they're huge targets, and like the Atlas has survival scattered all over the place. And what they've done is normalize most of the armor and crit chance receiving quirks, which was frankly long overdue.
Mm-hmm.
Like back in the day, yes, the Atlas S was sort of one of the strongest assault mechs with SRM-24 Artemis and AC-20, but that kind of brawling just isn't so viable now, or it just doesn't. It doesn't have the same. It's not the same game anymore. There's a lot more longer ranged options that are very potent, and I'm very happy that Atlas is way more agile than it used to be, and it will be way more tanky than it used to be. And same for the Kodiak. There's a lot of Kodiak variants that almost never saw play because you always just took the one with the high ballistic mounts, and those are getting a whole bunch of survival as well.
Yep. And the ballistic one is getting the least. And yeah, I'm especially happy with the Atlas because back in the day, the Atlas was known for being one of the tankiest mechs in the game period. It always lacked in weaponry and speed and mobility, but it was tanky. It was the center and the anchor of your front line. And maybe it can reclaim some of that lost glory with the buff. Who knows? Probably not, but hey, here's
Well,
me hoping and being nostalgic.
it certainly helps with the negative 40% crit chance receiving, and plus historically wise, yeah, I mean the Atlas was the frontline killer mech that you see that you're gonna poop your pants, basically, especially if you're some other type of mech. That thing is just nasty. But yeah, hopefully it does. Like I know, like for a long ass time, I had the Atlases. I never even used them because it's like, okay, well they're not tanky anymore. They don't get used. They don't get they get abused basically way too much now. But hopefully, just like you said, it will bring them out again.
Back in the beta days with the Speedy Atlas with the XL 350 when that was top of the line assault mech mobility.
Yeah.
And
back
then
in
the
day.
Atlas DDC, one of the few ECM mechs. Even during the release of the first clan mechs, when you always paired your Atlas DDC with a couple of direwolves for that firepower, and then the DDC with the ECM.
Nostalgia.
All days.
Yep.
All days.
Oh,
But yeah, lots of quirks for mechs that mostly needed it. I'm personally not too sure about the Kodiak in particular, but otherwise I think these quirks are probably a really good addition.
Yeah, they are mostly sort of a step in the right direction. It's just in some ways, we have to just wait and see. But yeah, a lot of these, it's just like, oh, these have so many fundamental problems. Can just a 10% quirk really, change them that much? I mean, it's a difficult thing just in my head trying to summate all of them up and how viable or more viable they've really become. I mean, some things, like the Locust, for example, yeah, there's quite a few variants with pretty bad weapon quirks available to them, and they have gotten a bunch, like, sometimes just 5% more cooldown, sometimes 15% more cooldown. But then, with all that extra cooldown, you're often still running into heat issues because if you're chunking out enough DPS, you only have 10 heat sinks. That's always sort of the trade-off. And at least with heavier mechs, they're dominating right now, and I think there is some like heat generation quirks for all the atlases, so they actually can sustain in a brawl, and some other heat gen quirks for a whole bunch of like. I usually just right now I'm feeling like, hey, the bigger mechs are really good, and they're getting equal if not better treatment often. So I should really just often take those mechs.
Yeah, I do wish the light mechs would have gotten a bit extra love compared to the assault and heavies on this list.
Well, Locust got a
Yeah.
lot of love. That's what I'm looking at now, and I mean, they got a lot of love. They're gonna. I mean, they got a lot
If
of
you
love.
look at 38 free armor on the Atlas and the torso, and then
Well, of
the
course
Locust
not.
with
That's
8.
assault mech. Come on.
Yeah,
But
It's a lot to. Yeah, I mean, this is something going into the grander discussion that we've want to do at some point. Is just how the game has sort of changed with, over time, and obviously with the cauldron changes and stuff.
yeah,
And at least looking through the history, one thing we've seen is that the biggest, most notable change is actually when the game switched to super queue, where like win loss radically dropped for smaller mechs. So the heavier the mech you're taking into a match, the more your win loss usually went up. And well, my gumption on this is just simply that it's prioritizing speed above everything else. So if you take a 20 tonner, or if you have a choice between taking a 20 tonner or a 100 tonner, well, that's what you're going to go in the match with, and your team is either going to play with a Locust or an Atlas. And well, the obvious fact is the Atlas, for the most part, just has so much more firepower and survival and everything else. So you're just on average with most pilots, you're going to be able to contribute much more on a bigger boy.
the changed matchmaker definitely didn't do the light mechs any favors.
Yeah, because in a ways, in the past, because you were balancing for weight much more deliberately, it meant if you took a light mech, you weren't losing your team 80 tons worth of equipment and stuff. You were going to fight a light mech on the other side or something. The tonnage would balance out. But now, yeah, if you're choosing that light mech, it better well damn be well fit. And so, yeah, oh, my Javelin 10P has an extra 5% heat gen quirk. Yeah, but I'm missing 70 tons. At least on my as far as my win-loss goes. But that's ultimately a matchmaker thing, and you shouldn't redress this kind of issue with quirks. You know, I'm not saying obviously that we need to make locusts as strong as atlases, even if that's how the matchmaker
No,
almost sort
please
of
don't.
thinks of it.
Don't give PGI any ideas. They like making all the mechs the same.
Yeah, but yeah, on the locust, you know, we're going from things like armor is going from 4 to 8. Leg armor is like going from 6 to 9. All leg armor is now 9, which is the same as like what you would have on the 3V. It's nice. And I mean, it is a locust, so every few hit points matter because you can then add skill tree to it. You know, you're adding 3 leg armor to your locusts, and then you're adding another, 2 or 3. You know, it's adding like 5 armor to the legs, so it's just that extra bit harder to leg the locust. Um, yeah, it's. I have to must say though, at least, I've only really had a chance to look through the smallest mechs because I'm transcribing this all onto my spreadsheet, and that's how I sort of internalize all of it. And for me, like, I'm a little sad that things like the Arctic Wolf, they're removing some of the flavor from the quirks. You know, some of them require you to do a certain weapon types, and by making them generic, you aren't encouraged to, really take those type of builds anymore. So even if the mechs are on average better, um, I do sort of miss out. It is a little sad that the game is becoming a little watered down, just a little, but it is a little sad that's happening. And there's some weird choices like the Hellspawn. We're giving a lot of extra armor to that right torso. The right torso, I mean, the Hellspawn has such a weird shape, and the fact that you're giving it armor doesn't address its major um, hitbox issues. Because the thing with the Hellspawn
It's on
is
the
it's a
left side,
very
right?
fat mech.
Like the missile thing for the no, actually, like
No,
it's wrong mech. Actually, sorry, yeah, it's wrong mech.
the Hellspawn is like, that one with the huge missile bay
Yeah.
on the side of the mech. Like, one side is the cockpit and the other side is the huge missile bay. And the missile bay is to the left of the cockpit, so that's the left torso. The right torso is on the right-hand side of the nose, this tiny little nose on the right-hand side of the mech. And if you do face that nose towards the enemy, it can take a whole bunch of fire and it's got no survival. So it does need perhaps a little bit of survival. But the trickiest thing with the Hellspawn is it's a very fat mech. Like it's got got very large shoulder blades that extend sort of over to the side of the mech. So if you show the side of your mech of the Hellspawn to an enemy, if they shoot at your shoulder blades and hit the side of your mech, they'll hit your rear side torso. And that's really bad if you're a Hellspawn running anything like a light engine or an XL engine. And the only way to really mitigate that is either fix the hitboxes, which, it's a complicated change, or to add structure to the hitboxes. Because, the Hellspawn has a very fun way of spreading its damage. I love using the Hellspawn, but this change doesn't really seem to make much. I mean, the CT is kind of easy to focus, and that does make sense, but the right torso change, I do kind of like the right torso change, but where is the structure? This thing has a critical, crucial issues with how it can try and spread the damage. And, that's just the thing where when I get into it, it's, they're all nice little changes, but they're all very generic. It's, or at least there's a lot of generic ones. And
Yeah.
that's fine enough, but it doesn't always address the fundamental issues of the mechs. It addressed most of them, but yeah, I must admit, I'm probably one of the few people who actually played the Hellspawn.
Yeah,
a huge
that's what I was
amount.
about to say. Knowing from past experience with the Cauldron and how they go about their changes, there's a really good chance people just looked at these mechs and like, yeah, could use that one, could use that, and didn't even play it all that much before.
Yeah, because if you play the Hellspawn enough, and at least for me, I played the Hellspawn as a carry mech. It really sucks when you're the carry mech on the team and you get caught out by an unlucky hit. Like, someone fires a 2LB10 at you and they roll a bunch of crits on your rear side torso and the whole mech just explodes. And it only explodes because you were dumb enough to torso twist in it. I was like, oh god.
Okay.
Moving on a bit, since
Yeah.
we've talked for 40 minutes and still have a kind of major topic to go through.
Mhm.
the Hunter pack, new Mech pack. And I've never seen any of the original Harmony Gold properties, so this picture means nothing to me. But Bob, can you enlighten us?
Yeah, it's basically
What's
based
that?
off the Phoenix Hawk from Robotech, not Roy Hunter, but a generalization like of what one of them looks like. The helmet's off, but the two back pieces, the two smokestacks in the back, those are that's from Harmony Gold and everything else. And plus the colorization, the red and white is based off the Veritech fighters that they used to have back then, or that they had like in the cartoon. And that's I guess what they're trying to poke the bear at. But Harmony Gold has no more rights to it, rights to the mechs or anything of them.
Well,
So
that's why you poke the bear,
yeah,
because the bear is stuck in a cage or can't fight back.
yeah, exactly. But so I mean, they can't do anything, and hopefully they do more of this kind of stuff. There are a couple mechs, like say the Radar X, which is the rifleman. They could do that. They could do obviously the Warhammer. The I think it's called the Excalibur. They could do a couple mechs, like that. I hope they actually do the Mac what, 10, Mac 4, Mac 3. I think it's called Mac 4. It's a big, gigantic one, 4 gigantic cannons like on top of it. I forget what it's called. It's Mac something, but I hope.
The Behemoth?
Well, no, actually, like from the cartoon. From the cartoon, it's it's called a Mac something, Mac 3 or something like that. And basically, it has 4 gigantic cannons and 2 gigantic cannons like on the arms. And I hope PGI does one of those mechs as a 100-ton mech or something. It'd be kind of cool. But
Well, it's a new mech rather
yeah,
than one of
yeah,
these.
it's a new mech,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, and that's a Veritech fighter mech that they're poking fun at Harmony Gold, I guess. And that's what they did.
So here's a broader question, sort of regarding the fan base, since I'm not like, how many people would sort of recognize that paint scheme and
Larsh.
go, "Oh yes, that's it."
Larsh.
Yeah.
All right,
Myself and a
so
lot of
just
people.
Larsh.
Yeah, just Larsh. Myself and people that really watch the cartoon, and plus, I mean, there's a lot of people who play BattleTech know about the Harmony Gold lawsuits and the boogeyman that they are, and also the
I know
unseen
about
mechs.
yeah, I know about Harmony Gold thing, but it's not like I know exactly how the stuff from back in the day all looks like.
Yeah. Well, it's
This
just from the
definitely
cartoons.
speaks to a very specific market. Like, I don't think anyone in Europe has ever seen any of the Harmony Gold things. I don't remember those ever being a thing on our TV.
Oh, really?
No, I
Oh,
don't remember it
well, it
being
mostly came to the United
broadcast.
States. That's where it mostly came from, or
Yeah.
came from Japan to here, basically. But anyone who plays BattleTech literally knows Robotech. They always talk about it. Like everyone I talk to, there's like, oh yeah, I remember that show.
Yeah, but the nostalgia factor is gonna be with a small sub
Oh yeah,
portion of the
yeah.
Battletech fan base, I think.
Or old people
Yeah.
like myself. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
talking about
Basically.
the other, is there anything going on with the Stalker's paint scheme? Is that a reference to anything?
Not that I know of. No, just
It
it's
just looks
camo.
it's like a
Basically.
military hexagon pattern thing.
Oh god, what type of it looks? No, that's digital camouflage. It looks like digital.
Yeah, kind of, yes. I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's got lots of hexagons.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know anything about that type of camo. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a thing.
it's a thing.
Okay,
It's a
so
camouflage.
on the booster pack, on a
Okay.
more broad level, you're obviously getting the Phoenix Hawk and the Stalker. As always, you're getting both the special variant and a non-special variant, which means you're probably gonna have to use both of them for the event and then sell the non-special one. That's
Yeah.
how it always goes.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting the usual currency buff, a couple cockpit items, decal, a badge, and
The MREs are pretty cool. I like that idea.
let's look at the interesting
Yeah.
stuff, which is the exclusive Baldons usually.
Yeah. Now, okay. Yeah, the Phoenix Hawk, it's cool, I guess. Like those ones. But what the hell is up with the Stalker with a freaking life raft like on the back of it? A freaking like pontoon boat like on the back of the Stalker. Have you seen that? Like
I
what
actually like this a lot with the theme of the hunter. Like, this is a
Really?
mech that's supposed to, yeah, this is a mech that's supposed to be kind of behind the front lines. You're out there in a survival kind of setting as a mech pilot. You have to get around, set up your ambush, and then in the one pivotal moment, you come out of the swamp and dump
jump out
something,
and like go and manhandle
and
the
then you
fish?
extract.
Okay.
So The way I interpret the Phoenix Hawk's bolt-ons, they look kind of like thrusters, just like the backpack sort of melts in with the backpack
Yeah.
or the jump
Yeah.
jets of the actual Phoenix Hawk. And all the other bits have little thrusters on as well. So it just looks like a whole bunch of extra thrusters to me.
Yeah, for the Phoenix Hawk extra thrusters, I believe the Robotech thingies are very mobile and
Yeah, they are.
thruster focused. Yeah, so that's
Um,
probably the
I wish
thing
they
there.
actually made the Crusader. You guys know about the Crusader
Yes.
and the Crusader
It's
mech?
an interesting mech that was featured in the very first novel and that I could never make work in tabletop.
Yeah, it's it's basically a Veritech fighter with a bunch of armor like on it, plus a bunch of missiles. I think he's gonna pull it up here, but I wish they made that like for the game itself. I think it'd be kind of cool, just as a missile mech, I guess.
I don't know what you could really do with this. Like the Crusader is meant to be this kind of frontline anchor, very flexible mech, which
No,
obviously doesn't play well with Mechwarrior Online. So you just either do it as a semi-mobile, semi-armored LIR mech, or potentially an SRM brawler, and neither of those playstyles are all that great.
and
in
look up
Mechwarrior Online right
Robotech
now.
Crusader. Oh, I said the R word. Damn it. Sorry. It's the second one. It's the second picture. And, it's the first picture, like on that. Yeah, that one there. That's a Crusader. And the two pods like on the right and left shoulder like open up, and then the missile pods on the bottom. Then also missile pods on the arms as well too. And then the three on the hips, basically three on each side. And it's pretty cool. And that's basically based off the Veritech Fighter 1J, I believe. And they just added a bunch of armor plus missiles. But the other
Those were a lot of words you just said.
what's that? Oh, sorry.
Those were a lot of words.
Yeah, sorry.
I think we're a little off topic, so let's
Yes.
just
Okay,
finish
sorry.
up the Stalker bolt-ons. It's got like a camo stuff that you're throwing on top of it. I forget what you call it. You drape it in this kind of camo stuff.
Yeah.
It's
It's the
camo
stalker.
tarp or something.
Stalker.
All of the military fan base is just gonna scream at us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't mind the look of the thing. It's kind of funny, of course, trying to entice people with something that's trying to make be low profile. But yeah,
It's a
they're
mech
okay.
ghillie suit, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking at this, I just see the oh god, that scene happens more than once. In the BattleTech novels, when you have the ambush where your assault mech is lying down in a pond and having some lilies on top of it, and then the light mech is baiting the enemy into the near the pond, and then the assault mech just goes up and one shots everything that walks into the valley. That's the feeling I'm getting with this. I like it a lot visually for the lore connections,
Mhm.
obviously in game.
Yeah.
You're not really
Though-
gonna see it.
So yeah, wrapping up cosmetically, what do you guys feel about the look of the mechs?
I like them. Basically not bad. I question the pontoon boat, but like now looking at it with the backpack that it has, little kind of like I don't know what it is.
Like supplies or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, like supplies. I get it now, basically. But like all I saw was just the pontoon boat, and then actually I didn't click the next button. I'm like, okay, now it has ghillie suits. It has the little supply thing. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, it's cool. It's not bad. Yeah.
So for the mechs themselves, I like the last one better, with the really standout and unique camo spec. This one is more of a generic camo for the most part. The Baldons are probably not as cool as the Elementals, but still decent.
Mhm.
I like it. I wouldn't buy it for the visuals though, unlike last time.
I would say yeah, like it's fine, but it doesn't have a huge wow factor to me.
Hmm.
It's not quite even the same wow factor as sort of seeing like the dragon with like the visor and all the other stuff on it. These are just military stuff on it. It's like, well, yeah, that's okay. It's better than the other bolt-ons that they actually put into the game. Just tires and
Yeah,
random random horns and
no
things. Like,
giant jets and wings and
Yeah.
searchlights.
As far as the the extra stuff, the cockpit items, I like the ramen noodle space extra spicy, like things. I think that's pretty cool. That's kind of neat actually. But like I said, I can never find my freaking cockpit items in all my mechs,
Yeah.
Darren. But
I
you know,
mean, these ones you're gonna put on the Stalker because it fits the Stalker theme, and
Yeah.
forget about that.
yeah,
Let's be real.
that's
I'm a
kind of
little
cool. Like I
conflicted
like it.
about the cockpit items just because the orange is a little garish, and I'm not sure how many people would actually want to have them in their cockpits. I actually like garish orange personally,
Mhm.
but I have a feeling a lot of people might not really particularly care for the
You
colors.
see, that's why you put them in the Stalker, because you're not really gonna play that Stalker anyway.
Talking about not playing the mechs at all, let's
Yeah.
actually go and talk about the hard points and things.
Yeah.
So they're okay, but they again, it just doesn't
Eh.
have the wow factor. Is I think
The radio, I'm
whole
like whatever, but the Brahmins, I want the Brahmins, man. The Brahmin is awesome.
Okay,
I like
we're
it. The
moving on
radio.
to hard
Yeah.
points, which
Okay.
I
Sorry.
think we have so much to cover.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Hard points.
All
Sorry.
right. So Phoenix Hawk is, or at least gives me the best initial impression, just in the sense that, hey, it's got mask. There's another Phoenix Hawk with mask, but this one has a whole bunch of energy hard points. So, you can actually, and two of those energy hard points are in the side torsos, which is actually quite a valuable feature in the Phoenix Hawk
Yep.
because you shield those arms and the arms get blown off and then you have no weapons.
Yep.
But with this, you actually
I
have
want
two
this one in
weapons
Mechwarrior
spare.
5. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just mostly a straight up upgrade to the Mask Phoenix Hawk. It's not going to have amazing quirks like that one, but I mean that one doesn't even have amazing quirks. So yeah, it's just if you like Phoenix Hawks and you like Mask, this has got some good features.
Larsh.
It's not super. It's not. It it's just another 45-ton kind of energy boat. You already have the other Phoenix Hawks with ECM and stuff like that, and you already have like the Paralyzer and plenty of laser. But yep, it's okay. Stalker.
I hate
Stalker.
it.
Ah, 2 energy in each side torso on both side torsos means you could do a whole bunch of like PPCs, and you and the arms just chuck in some MRMs or something. But yeah, this thing could be a neat PPC boat, I guess. Um, because most stalkers, you only have one in each side torso. You don't have much in the way of CT or head energy or anything like this. And the energy is usually stuck in the arms, which always led to the old issue when they had armor redistribution. The arms getting shot off and you lose most of your energy.
Mhm.
And the arms, you have energy and missile. You're also trying to fit in there. So this is a slightly better loadout, but it's a Navistalker with energy and missile. And there's like,
Yes.
how many of them in game? Like
Yes.
6 or so?
And in general, all of these packs so far have been heavily laser focused mechs. And I
Mhm.
really don't understand why. Like other things can be so much more interesting, especially with the Stalker. How to make a unique Stalker? Easy. Give it a ballistic in the right torso and a ballistic in the left torso. Boom, unique Stalker. With this, it's just another generic laser boat in the assault category, and probably not even that good because you can take heavier assault mechs that are better at this.
Stalk has a great peaking profile and stuff. Like there is use to the Stalker, but it's not like it's a super uber duper popular mech.
Yeah.
And ultimately, as ever, it comes down to a big question of what is the base agility and quirks of these mechs. And well, thankfully, I think again, isn't it the case? We have the large pre-order window, so you don't have to rush out and buy this thing. Wait until you see,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
how it performs.
how it will actually be implemented in game, how well it performs, and then you can choose whether to pick it up. But yeah, ultimately, I don't think visually or gameplay wise there's huge wow factor at play. But if you're a fan of Phoenix Hawks and Stalkers, just that that large demographic out there who are fans of those particular mechs, this is the mech pack kind of for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still pissed about the missed chance with the Stalker ballistics. That would have been a reason for me to buy it. I do quite like the Stalker, but this one is just not speaking to me.
So
It's offering nothing that I want or
what I
need.
really want in a Stalker, at least particularly with all these damn energy boat Stalkers, is one that doesn't have an engine cap of 310.
Yes,
Like,
that's another giant thing. 310, you're gonna go, what, 56, 60 with quirks at most?
yeah, it's just a matter of the energy weapons are not too dense and the double heat sinks are huge. So you kind of have an issue where if you're building an energy loadout, you often sort of run out of tonnage, like space to actually make use of the tonnage.
Mhm.
And if you spend too much tonnage on PPCs or whatever, then it's too hot. So you really want a bigger engine so that you can throw in a whole bunch of extra double heat sinks into the engine and it can soak up tonnage. It makes building it way more easier. Even just the 325 engine would have been something that would have interested me. But no, there's no jump jets, there's no different engine cap, it's just the hard points.
Yep.
It's just yeah.
And another missed chance, given the whole theme of it with the camo and the stalkery aspect, it doesn't have ECM. So it doesn't even
Oh,
fit the
that's
theme.
right. That would be kind of cool. That would be nice.
If only there was a stalker with mask.
Yeah, like even with this loadout, bigger engine cap and mask, I would totally play it. Make it more of a short range brawler with a bunch of medium pulses and a couple lesser rims, something like that.
Oh, that would be amazing. But
I
no,
would
this
play
thing is
that,
just
but this is
it's just a PPC poker. It looks like for the
Yeah.
most part.
PPC and laser vomit.
Mhm.
I'm leaning more towards laser vomit, as all the new mechs recently have been laser vomit.
Yeah.
So this was probably built with laser vomit in mind.
Well,
And yeah.
I mean, if you're going to balance the game to just be about all laser vomit, might as well only add laser vomit
Yep.
mechs.
If all the weapons you see in the field are laser vomit, might as well make mechs for those. And that's why we're never gonna see the Crusader.
Yeah. Yeah. I can still dream, right? I can still dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, moving
So
on.
Moving on.
wrapping up. Two variants of mechs that are not bad, slightly better than most of the variants in the game for those two mechs, but there is nothing that really stands out about them. And in my opinion, quite a few missed opportunities.
Like I have to say, yeah, I agree with you, but then I also think that it's still a good price for $20 for the amount of stuff you get. Especially when you go pre-order stuff, the A building C builds to 200 GSP, the cockpit items, the theme items, and then also at the early adapter like rewards, additional 200 GSP. It's not a bad deal, basically as far as just purchasing
It'd
it.
just be cooler if on top of the cool stuff,
yeah,
you would also
yeah.
get mechs that are actually good.
I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. But for $20, it's a lot better than like some of the things I used to spend money on for other types of games. $20 would get you nothing. So $20 for this, and plus PGI pretty much hands you, it hands you like MC through like events and stuff like that. And it's still a good price. It's a really good price.
To compare contrast a little bit, the very first pack, the Striker pack,
Mhm.
those had way worse hard points, but way more gimmicky Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
So these are solid mechs on paper. They're not necessarily too different from what you can do already, but they're solid. Unlike the Striker pack, which was way more gimmicky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's not a bad pack. Like the Striker pack had a risk of being a bit kind of bad, whereas this one, it should be fine.
Plus, you get the
Yep.
ramen noodles, the space ramen. So I'm happy about that. It's extra spicy. Got to be extra spicy. I love extra spicy ramen. I love that stuff.
And then, speaking about how do you want me to make a segue from spicy ramen to a free mech? But anyway, there's free mech
there's a free
event.
mech.
I guess that was the segue, the lack of segue.
Okay.
Yeah, this time you can get the Shadowhawk 2K with the August free mech event. At the time of release of the podcast, you're still gonna have over 2 weeks to get it. And yep, it's another free mech event.
It's pretty easy to get,
It's nice.
actually. It's really easy to get.
Nice thing as well is it's one of the more unique Shadowhawks, energy and missile. And the Shadowhawk is getting a whole bunch of buffs in the upcoming patch this Tuesday. So it will be much more tanky and have a little bit more cooldown and whatnot.
Yep. Shadowhawk has always been one of the fairly beginner-friendly mechs, so especially if you have a friend that's starting out in the game, see if you can push them towards completing this event. I think they're going to be fairly happy with that mech.
Yeah. Yeah, really easy to get the pattern. Well, actually, the pattern 100 kill assists, 10,000 match score.
Play a
It's
lot.
gonna take a while.
It's gonna
It's
take
not
a little
hard,
bit.
but it's gonna take a while.
The price, I mean,
But
to get it
Buccaneer
though,
is
it's
a
pretty
good
easy.
pattern.
Yeah.
Buccaneer is a good pattern to get. It's not just Snowfall or whatever.
Yep.
Or Mountaintop, I think it is, right?
Let's not talk about Mountaintop.
exactly.
250 loot bags for a month.
Oh,
Let's not
God.
talk about that.
Yeah. But generally, though, it's pretty easy to get the stuff. It's real easy event to go do too. So that's a good thing.
Yep. So
All
play
right.
the game, get stuff, and then
This one's expired, but it's just to be mentioned that there was this shoot to skill event. There's one very important thing, Bob. You have to. Did you see that there's destroy a UAV?
At least it's one. I I
Yes.
I talked to Matt. I talked him down to one to three, basically. Talked him down to that. So I'm happy about that instead of 10. So I'm happy. I'm okay with one. That's fine. But 10 was just ridiculous, and thank God I talked to him about that, about bringing that down.
I mean, despite saying it's about skill, it's just play the game and you just get a whole bunch of GSP from various little bits
Yep.
and pieces.
Yeah.
Nice and simple.
I personally haven't played the game around that time, so I completely missed out on it. But I think that's one of the cooler events. Premium time, fairly easy to get, on average 2 games, and then just GSP, which is probably the most useful thing you can get out of an event.
Mm-hmm.
So I like
Yeah.
it a lot. I'm hoping they do more of them, and next time I actually realize it's going on.
True.
All right, that's gonna be it for Mechwarrior Online. And unless you guys have any closing thoughts on the events, we have 2 shoutouts to make.
Yep.
Go ahead.
All right. First off, the Wolves game has a new update, or a soon to happen update. I'm honestly not even sure uh, when it's gonna happen. But yeah, they added the Puma to game, and I don't know, man. Wolves is just one of those games. I can't get myself to play it all that much because it's just not my type of game. But whenever I see screenshots and preview videos, they look so amazing. I just want to start it up.
Did you ever play the Mech Assault, like on the
No,
Xbox?
I never
Okay.
played Mech Assault. That's
That's
probably
probably
why
why
I
then.
don't
Yeah, that's
like
probably
too
why.
much.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the Mech Assault game was actually pretty fun. And then playing the Wolves that we did the one time back, about a year or two ago, I think it is. Like when we actually had them come on the first time.
Yeah.
Like it didn't have as much stuff as like what it is now, so it definitely improved like over the years. So
Well,
not
it's
bad.
it's a small fan game. It's really cool to see it grow. You can download it and just play it, and it's a pretty casual game for the most part. So feel free to just download it. It's small download, fire it up. It's just double click and play it for 10 minutes and see if you like it.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's definitely stunning. That's probably the main thing. It's Mech Assault, but visually good.
It looks good. It looks really nice. Isn't
And
Atlas that he's
then,
firing against?
oh god, yes,
I can't tell.
yes. The balance is weird in this game. Like the Cougar can't defeat anything, or maybe it's just the AI. I never understood Mech Assault balance.
Well, it's arcade basically. You're not gonna
Yeah,
have balance per se.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's Mechwarrior 5 balance, but even worse.
It's kind of one of those things where there's balance for you and then balance for the enemies. So
Yeah.
if I hit you with a Ghost Rifle, it's it's doing 45 damage. But if you hit me, a silly NPC, are hitting me with a Ghost Rifle, it's doing 5 damage.
Mm. And then another quick shout out. You guys might remember Battlebound. It's a show by oh god, I forgot his full name, but
Tuckles?
yeah, Tuggles,
Yeah.
who originally traveled around the United States and just hosted BattleTech games, and then did kind of post-mission debriefing reports of those. And they recently released a video that was voiced over by Tex of Black Pants Legion.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a pretty decent game. Black Widow Company versus Grey Death Legion First Company, and voiced over by Tex. Well edited. I enjoyed it a fair bit. I highly recommend checking it out.
Yep. He has a sexy voice. X.
I think he's overdoing it in some points,
Think
but
so?
for the most part, it's
Oh man, he has a great
sometimes
voice.
I think sometimes his voice is distracting from what he's saying. But
No, it's a
is that a
sexy
good or
voice.
bad thing?
I don't know. It's good
But
voice.
yeah, cool
so-
video. Go check it out.
Yeah.
Links in the description.
I'll leave links down below so you guys check them out as well too.
Yep. And then, of course, my usual mention, though I don't have any links and pictures. Mechwarrior Living Legends is a great game. They're doing cool stuff. Go and check it out. It's free.
Yes. I'll leave links for that as well too.
Why wait for PGI to implement a larger mode in MechWarrior 5 or MechWarrior Online when you could just do MechWarrior Living Legends?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Yep. I think that basically wraps it up. We've got an okay new mech pack, good new mech events instead. There's the quirk requirkening, which is it's all on the right path, and MWO. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but at least things are looking up. I think just that they're putting even more into the game in the future. So
Getting more help. That's a good thing.
Yeah, big announcement. Keep your eyes out. Probably the best place to keep up to date if you don't want to check the website regularly would be Twitter, with the Mechwarrior Online and Mechwarrior 5 Twitter accounts posting fairly regular updates on these kind of things. And yeah, we're obviously going to update on the First Circuit podcast as soon as we know what's going to happen.
Yep.
So
So
until then,
yeah. So till then, that was the First Circuit podcast, episode 152. Tonight's hosts were Ian,
bye-bye.
Biter,
Larg.
and myself, Old Bob 10025. And like always, we appreciate everything you guys do for the podcast and you being you. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on the battlefield.
Bye-bye.